Okay, welcome everyone. As we learn the Mishna Yomis and what is supposed to learn during Ben Kesel Aser, as we learn to be Mekayim the mitzvah v'dibar tabam l'asais nachas ruach liyotzreinu, and we are sponsored L'iloi Nishmas Chaim Zanvil ben Moshe l'fur Shalem for Eliyahu Moshe ben Chaya Sarah, and for the schus of Avram ben Yom Beinish ben Malki Yehudis and family. We learn sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Robert Shlomo ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain. The Neshama should have an Aliyah by Yol Klugman and family, and L'Fush Shalema for my Shver, Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka, and Meir ben Chayesara, that they should have a L'Fush Shalema b'Seg Shachar Yisrael. Now we know that the Kohen Gadol used to be anointed and promoted to the office of Kohen Gadol by being anointed with the Shemen HaMishra. Towards the latter part of the Bayis Rishon, the first temple, when there was a fear that the Goyim would try to purloin it, Yoshio HaMelech hid the Shemen HaMishra. From then on, the Kohen Gadol was ascended to the post by wearing the 8 begadim, the Shemaina begadim, the ephod, the tzitz, the choshen. It was a regular Kohen, only wore 4 begadim. He wore 8 begadim, he wore the me'il, and that's how he was ascended. Now, what's the difference between Ein ben Kohen Mashuach Shemen HaMishka? There's no difference between a Kohen that was anointed with the Shemen HaMishka, the Meruba begadim, to a Kohen that only was elevated by wearing the 8 vestments. Ela para ba'al kol hamitzvos. There's a special carbon if the Kohen Gadol did a sin because of an erroneous ruling. He did unwittingly a sin of karas. If he was anointed with the anointed oil, then he brings the par kohen mashuach, because that's what it's called in the Torah. But if he didn't bring, if he was only elevated by the 8 vestments, then he doesn't bring this special bull. Now, also we know that there's a halacha that if the Kohen Gadol becomes tamei, then he's temporarily removed from his post, and we appoint another Kohen Gadol in his stead. When the first one is reinstated, then the second one is removed from his position. The second one is removed, but he doesn't step down, because Malim b'kodesh ve'ein maridin. He remains also a Kohen Gadol, and when he does the avodah, he has to wear 8 vestments. He's not allowed to marry an almana, and he has to marry a virgin. And therefore, ein ben kohen mishamish l'kohen she'aver, there's no difference between the acting Kohen Gadol and the Kohen that stepped down, Kohen Gadol that stepped down. Ela par yom HaKippurim, we bring a special par Kohen Gadol, and the Torah says 1 and not 2. So only the acting Kohen Gadol brings the par, not the one that was removed. And the Asira So'efa. Asira So'efa, every day the Kohen Gadol brings what's called a minchas chavitin. He brings out of 1/10 of an ephah a special meal offering fashioned to 12 loaves. 6 were offered in the morning and 6 were offered in the afternoon. That's only brought by the acting Kohen Gadol. Now, Mishnah Yud goes back through history. The divine presence had different homes throughout history. The first home was in the Mishkan of Moshe Rabbeinu. When we entered to Eretz Yisrael, the Mishkan was in Gilgal for 14 years. After that, they built a stone area out of stone. That was called the Mishkan Shilai, and there Hashem's presence was there for 369 years, until the Mishkan Shilai was destroyed by the Pelishtim, by the Philistines. Then they built again an area in Nov, and then after Shaul destroyed Nov HaKahanim, there was another area in Givon. Together, the Shechina was in Nov and Givon for 57 years. And then, of course, they built the Bayis Rishon, the first temple, and then the second temple. Now, there is something known as a Bama Katana, a private altar, which at certain times you were allowed to have in your backyard. During the time of Mishkan Moshe, private altars were prohibited. However, in the 14 years of Gilgal, they were allowed to have private altars. Again, in Shiloh, private altars were banned, but then again they were allowed in Noiv and Givain, and then of course they were banned then forever once the first temple was built. Now, our Mishnah addresses the 3 periods where private altars were allowed, and that's when there was a public bama in Gilgal and Noiv and Givain. There were allowed to be private altars too. And our Mishnah addresses what was the difference between a bama gedola, the public bama, and a bama ketana. So says the Mishnah, Ein bein bama gedola le bama ketana. There's no difference between the public bama in Gilgal or in Noiv and Givain and the private altars in your backyard. Ela psachim. Obligatory korbanos that have a fixed time, like psachim, were allowed only on the public bama, not on the private bamas. Zaklal. This is the general principle. Kol shehu nidar v'nidav, anything that's offered voluntarily, whether it's to neder variety, where you say, Hari alai, I accept it upon myself, or the nidava variety, where you say, Hari zeh, only making this animal, karv babama, that could be brought on a private altar in your backyard. But if it's not a voluntary offering, like a shlamim, like a taida, but rather it's obligatory, Eino karv babama, that can't be brought on your private altar. It has to be brought on the bama gedola. Okay, Baruch Hashem, nice evening, even after Tanis, a nice evening of learning. We want to welcome everybody again to join us the rest of the week at 8 o'clock at zoomdaf.com for the Daf Yomi. I did put a new share today, getting ready for Yom Kippur on YouTube. If you want to check it out, and you check out YouTube, you can check out, make sure to become a subscriber. Please subscribe. Also, there's a fantastic share that I gave. It's called For the Shabbos Rosh Hashanah Table. It's a really, really contemporary share. That's on YouTube. It's on, of course, Torah Anytime and Kol Lashon as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.